darte mis noches llenas de amor. Corazón, hablarle en poesía, cantarle a tu alma y llenarla de ilusión. Amor, te quiero dar amor cuando sientas dolor. Quiero acompañarte hasta que te salga el sol. Besar todas tus lágrimas y darte todo mi amor. Ay, amor, jamás seré tu dueña. Yo quiero que me elijas cada día por amor. Corazón, todo lo que he vivido fue para prepararme y reconocer tu amor. Amor, te quiero dar amor cuando sientas dolor. Quiero acompañarte hasta.
It's all about experience. It's to feel the adrenaline running through our veins. Like all the things we do that excite us. Whatever world we come from or live in, there are people that are born to succeed. They're called special, to hustle every day for an opportunity of a lifetime. Looking for the challenge to shape our future is something that's in our DNA. A privilege just available for a few. Traders, we see things differently, paying attention to every small detail that would maybe go unnoticed by the common eye. On or by the edge is our playground, with a constant strive for glory.
Locked off the window section again.
Do you feel special?
Come on, mate.
Take back control of your investments.
Hello, Tom. Good afternoon.
1 2 1 2 mother duckers.
two,
How you
one,
doing,
two.
all niggas?
Mr. Thomas, how are you, boss?
Very good, thank you so much. How are
Good
you?
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Walk
Ready to
one,
make
walk
some
one,
money?
Jamaica.
Ready to make some money?
Number one. Yes, number one.
All right. So, current positions. First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, we can hear you. You can go.
Hell, Scott.
All right, I'm gonna mute everyone because some people are listening into multiple streams and it's very, very annoying. Anyway, current positions: long on gold, long on euro dollar, and I would be long on GJ, but I'm waiting out. And we're about to listen in to the Powell speech. Oops, what did I do? No. There you go. Okay. So we're about to listen into the Powell speech, which is coming up in 30 minutes. Right now, the New York Stock Exchange just opened its gate, so cash equities trading started on Wall Street right now. And I started the stream a little bit later today because obviously, as all professional traders, are more interested in the Senate hearing of testimony of Jay Powell. So the Senate is going to ask tough questions on Jay Powell, because remember that Jay Powell is a working man, just like Louis and me. He has a boss, well, actually thousands of bosses to respond to the American people. Even though the Federal Reserve is an independent institution from the government, from politics, because the politics has usually 4 or maybe a little bit more years action plans and goals, the Federal Reserve or any central bank in the world must be independent because they have longer-term policy goals. Remember that they're responsible for a whole economy and not just for the short-sighted vision of politicians. They're aiming for the longer run. So that's why the Fed and any central bank in the world is free from the government, apart from Turkey and North Korea. Those are the 2 countries I know that they're not. So long story short, today's Jay Powell hearing is going to be exciting. I don't know. I hate the Senate hearings. How about you? Have you ever listened into any of the Powell testimonies or Senate hearings? Anyone?
Yes, it's kind of boring sometimes.
Kind of boring.
It's boring, like when, you know, old age pensioner age politicians asking questions about monetary policy. Sometimes it's dry as my ex-girlfriend. And but sometimes it can be fun. Sometimes we can hear about things that are not in the monetary policy files. For example, the Monetary Policy Report, which is prepared by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, i.e. our very own Jay Powell, whose hearing is going to be right now in about 27 minutes. Now, most of the answers Powell is going to give, I'm pretty sure, depends on this his document, the Monetary Policy Report. And he wrote it, and his colleagues, he knows it by heart. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to alter his responses based on this document. He has to, because the Senate got this document a week ago. Quick question is, how many of you have read this report?
Not
Only half.
How many of you plan to trade the Powell hearing?
I'm just here to listen.
Okay, so if you want to trade the Powell hearing, you have to understand what could be the potential answers that Jay Powell is going to give. So it's kind of like you're going in a boxing ring and you know already what is your opponent left or right-handed. Is he going to start with a hook or a jab? Is he like to pivot? It's you need to know these. So what I'm expecting today is no surprise out of the Senate hearing, not big surprises. And for this reason, even though the Fed just delivered a surprise increase of the rate hike trajectory for 2023, that was last week. And, you know, the Senate hearing is today. And what do you think that the Senate is going to start the hearing with? The future, the present, or the past?
The future.
When you have a job review, performance review, are they going to ask you about how you're going to perform next month?
The past. That, yeah.
It is the fucking past.
Yeah.
It is actually a performance hearing. It's an employee walks into the office and his bosses are going to ask him tough questions. So, if they're gonna ask him about the past performance, is there anything new in the past? Or we know already what happened last week?
We know already what happened.
All right. So if there's no new information coming out of today's Senate hearing and testimony from Jay Powell, is he going to slap down the markets? No. That's
No.
my speculation, by the way. So this is not financial advice. I have to highlight this. This is only my mere speculation. I'm just a regular person speculating on financial markets. And my view is that there will be no new information, at least at the first part of the meeting or the first 30 minutes. And that is usually when you expect that, okay, everything is going to be bearish because Powell is going to be hawkish, so it's going to be bearish for gold, bearish for stocks, bullish for dollar. Because that's what everyone thinks, but sometimes you have to think a little bit twisted. Same way as I explained that I think that they're going to ask about the past, because this is a job review, performance review, and they're going to ask about past performance, and the past doesn't have any new information for me, at least. And my speculation is that the market is going to, it's going to be bullish for gold, it's going to be bearish for the dollar, and I'm not sure about the stocks, I have to admit, but gold and euro, I placed 2 longs based on speculation on dollar weakening, dollar depreciation, for at least short term. Is it gonna pay out or not? I don't know. I'm gonna widen my stop loss a little bit on gold because it is a very low entry. Maximum I can lose is about 1,700. And it hits stop loss. What the actual fuck? Just before the hearing kicks off. Dirty move in gold. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to go to the Fed. Does anyone have a link for the actual hearing? Or is it going to be streamed? We have 21 minutes until the power hearing. So, gold did a dirty wick to the downside, hit my stop loss. The next entry I will be looking at is if it comes down either the current position or it can come down to the bottom of the channel. And when it does, Philip Timler upload my account and no money until month is over. Fuck mate, why do you place everything in one single trade? Honestly. So, gold is on downward trajectory. It is respecting the channel, it looks like. But when the power space starts, that's when I'm going to enter into another long position. Because exactly for the reasons that there will be no new information coming out from Powell's mouth. Everything is written in the monetary policy report, which was submitted on 16th of June.
Thomas, can I have a question that is before the trading and everything? I'm opening a new wallet on the Walker, the 4XC, and I don't know what to choose between the standard, Pro, or the VIP.
You have to ask Andrei.
Andre?
He's yeah, he knows all the details.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. I hope
Yeah, he's good.
I send him a WhatsApp message. He's a great guy.
He is. Philip Timler, I don't know, risk was like 1,000%. Oh my god. Let's have a look in US 30. US 30 is edging down as well. Nasdaq is stagnant. I think Nasdaq has more fuel due to the the recent AI developments. Everyone's talking about the AI, and that fuels tech stocks. I mean, have a look. Economy is going downhill, and look at Nasdaq. Okay, I'm adding another long position on gold, but it's going to be a smaller position because the Powell hearing hasn't started yet, and gold just wicking down like a homeless drug addict in an alley with a knife. Please stop the horrific jazz music. And then another one. Music is the best part. Of course it's the best music. It's relaxing. Now, on GJ, I wanted to talk about that as well. Because tomorrow is Bank of England interest rate decision. Now today's CPI is absolutely bad in the UK today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another long position on GJ. You know, guys, I've been riding GJ for quite a few weeks now with wider stop loss, aiming for 184. Now, I don't want to go any higher than 184 because the Bank of Japan, there is a territory where Bank of Japan might going to intervene. Same applies to US dollar, Japanese yen pairs. So going back, as to see you, I'm opening a position right now on GJ. It's on the right hand. Hello Zarin Ahmed and your friend. I can see you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just 3 lots. This can go a little bit down, moving the stop loss just a little bit, as moving the stop loss just here, and targeting around 184. So that is the GJ position I entered now. Long position on gold, Euro USD as well. Now, gold can be a little bit... hello Albert, how you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you.
Fucking dollar.
Order filled. Order filled.
Right. In Euro dollar... Uni's photo, gambling at its highest low. Well, gambling, I wouldn't call it gambling. So what we did is actually, let me put you out from your misery, Uni's photo, because clearly you don't have the same kind of information that we have. So the monetary policy hearing is coming up, or the Powell hearing is coming up. So Jay Powell will have to testify in front of the Congress, the Senate. And what we do here, what I do, is I prepare with, reading the monetary policy report, getting to know understanding the monetary policy action and plan of the Federal Reserve, and then basing the macroeconomic strategy into a actual viable trading plan.
Order canceled.
Is it you, Albert?
Yeah, sorry. I thought I was muted. Sorry.
No.
Really sorry. I'm muting myself.
So I wouldn't call it gambling. Gamblers are those people who enter into positions that, they just try to trade economic data, but they have no understanding. So as you in this photo, but actually I'm a trained economist. So anyway, long story short, today is the Powell hearing, and my speculation on the market today is that there will be no new information because Jay Powell is going to answer to the questions from the monetary policy report, which was submitted around 5 days ago. Fucking idiot. So Jay Powell's answer going to heavily depend on the monetary policy report. And my speculation is that this report has all the information that we need, because his answer will be based heavily on this. And if we have no new information in the market, that means the market should go the opposite direction than what most people would expect. And the Powell hearing starts in 12 minutes. If someone could post a link, I would highly appreciate. Yoni, I trade in sterling. Those who just joined the stream, let me just explain again quickly before the Powell speech starts. So this monetary policy report submitted 5 days ago has most of the answers, and I believe that Jay Powell is going to prepare his answers to the Senate hearing from this document. And if you read this document, which I assume that anyone who trades the testimony of Jay Powell understands this report and read it, because all the answers that he's going to explain and tell today is in this document. And when I read it, you can see that it has table of contents, and if you go down to the monetary policy part, one thing that struck me that it doesn't have any other information or any new information. That there was no major surprises. It really summarizes the key point, what happened. And yes, they did increase the federal funds rate trajectory with 50 basis points. But the question is, and listen to this very carefully, did the document tell at any point, in any sentence, in any word, that they actually going to increase that 50 basis point? No, it doesn't. It doesn't explain or doesn't say that, yes, they're going to increase 50 basis points, which could be a bluff to make sure that the markets are in order and listen to the Fed. It's like, a leash. What it says that the Federal Reserve is going to make decisions meeting on meeting, and if they see that it's necessary to use the room that they already raised, so they have more headroom, that they can, without scaring the shit out of the market with a surprise rate hike, because they just surprised the market with a trajectory. So you're just saying, I'm going to beat you up. It hasn't happened yet, did it? So that is my speculation, and that is why I'm long on gold and long on euro dollar, expecting some dollar weakening for the coming hours. Stefan Christie asking, hey Tomasz, could I ask why did you sell gold earlier in the week? Because everything was bearish. So if you had a look on, it was because of economic data. It was inflationary. That's the reason why I sold gold.
Yesterday? Do you sold before the news or after the news? Oh,
When was it?
building
Was it
pyramids.
yesterday?
Yeah.
No, I sold
Oh, no.
yesterday, yeah. Because the data from last week, Monday was a bank holiday. And the data from last week, which came out already, weighed on the markets. Thanks, Jay. Jay, are you Elite Man on YouTube?
No.
Oh. Yes, I did get the link, Elite Man. But thanks, Jay. I want to join your community. Do you have discount for student? Yes, 50%. And a Happy Meal. Eight minutes and the hearing begins. So just to give you an accurate scenario analysis, because gold already spiked down, it has the great possibility that there's a possibility that just before the meeting or when the meeting starts, it spikes down. So that's why I didn't enter into anything crazy lots, because it has the potential. But again, we entered around this price level and aiming at 1951 if it goes up, but at least at 1940 I'm going to take profit. 1933 is the first TP, then 1940, then 1951. Because the problem with these hearings is we don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask and in what order. Tomasz, what does the information mean for GBP/USD? What information? What the? Oh my god, unemployed CEO, that is a very good, very nice comment, and thank you. If I know someone is appreciating, my inner beauty. Find a look on the open positions. And thank you so much, guys, for the nice words on Discord today when I asked about if anyone does the same kind of level of light trading with you, where they explain the buts and bolts about the nuts and bolts about the macroeconomics and monetary policy and all the economics that moves the market.
Doesn't exist. You're the only one.
I'm the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you are the only one who really gets into it every day.
Is the music too loud?
No.
Thomas number one.
Thank you.
You put everyone in a bucket, Thomas. You know that.
Aww.
Oh.
Stop it, but carry on. How long is the Powell speech? I have no idea. I don't think it's gonna be more than 2 hours, but hopefully it's less than an hour. Kaletsko Kabikale is currently long on GBP/USD. Not sure if you should exit or wait out. I can't give you any advice on that, brother. I think a long is looking good because I think that the GBP is going to strengthen over the US dollar in the coming hour, given the fact that the monetary policy report, which I talked about multiple times and which Jay Powell knows because he wrote this monetary policy report, and all of his answers today to the Senate or Congress or whatever who has to report his employers, all the answers are within this report, and there is no new information, there is no surprise. The surprise was last week, and I think the market is gonna get a breather today. Dollar weakening, gold up, US dollar up, so GBP USD is looking good for the long position. Anyway, I'm gonna stay in trading view because 4 minutes and the market's coming up.
Hi Thomas, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am well. Been a while. Happy to be back. This is Marwan. I just have a question about your current trades. You just entered long on gold, and you're targeting, I think, 1951. What is your risk on this thing, if you don't mind me asking?
What was the question? Sorry.
What's your risk? Where did you put your stop loss? I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
You want to see my stop loss?
Yeah, I'm just curious what the risk to
There you
reward
go.
is.
You can calculate the risk to reward. I don't have a TP on gold. I have it open, and I will close it down. But as I explained on TradingView, you can see the stop loss on the screen. And moving back to TradingView, the stop loss is a personal thing. You have to decide about your stop loss because I don't know what is your risk. Not the risk reward. I don't care about the risk reward, but I don't know what is your risk. How much do you risk or speculate? Is it your full account? 1%, 2%? So it's a personal thing. So as the TP, you can see on the chart that we always take profit at the previous high or previous consolidation. So the first one is going to be around the 1935, 1936 area, which is 50 pips away. So currently we're running in about 60 pips profit. That's 100 pips profit. If you don't take profit or even partials at 100 pips, don't blame me if the market takes it back. Second one should be in between the weekly and the daily pivot, and then if you go up, see the obvious signs on the chart: pivots, consolidations, all of these things. So final look on the open position. So gold is running in 88 pips profit already. No, it is fucking 88 pips profit. Okay, 1 minute until the Senate hearing, guys. I'm gonna go back into my browser. Going to refresh on this. And about 20 seconds, we're going to experience the next Senate hearing of Jay Powell. So you see, even the title of the hearing is the Federal Reserve's Semi-Annual Monetary Policy Report. So the questioners, or the people going to ask, the politicians are going to ask from this report. This is why it's important you read it. And by the way, guys, if you're listening to the stream, if you get any value out of the stream, if you get any value out of me talking, showing you entries and, explaining what the fish is actually happening on financial markets, translating economics into English, hit the like button, please, because currently 500 people watching and only 100 likes. It's not very good, is it? So still in the gold long position, your USD long as well. And the meeting should have been started. There's nothing yet. Thomas, love from Pakistan. Love you too, brother. How do you say thank you in Urdu?
Shukriya.
Shukriya. So it's similar to shukran.
Yeah.
Urdu is the Pakistani language, right? One of them.
Yeah, it is.
Urdu.
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 Yeah.
No, the thank you.
Oh, shukriya.
Shukriya. How do you say shukriya, brother? How do you say shukriya, my brother?
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not from Pakistan, but that's how they say shukriya. Shukriya means thank you.
Yeah, but how do you say thank you, my brother?
If you want to say thank you, my brother, then
my brother. Shukriya, Meri bhai.
Shukriya, Meri bhai.
Yeah.
Meri bhai.
Bhai, yeah.
Actually, you can watch it. You can watch it live on YouTube, Thomas.
Sorry.
You can watch it live on YouTube.
What? Watch what?
This Committee on Financial Services.
That's what I'm looking at. Does someone send me a link that this is it? Give me a link, guys.
Well, that's the link in their official site, so I don't know.
Yeah. Come on, guys. You need to do the footwork for me. Still no link? But Powell isn't online yet. Yeah, we're looking at this one, the GOP Financial Services.
Is that one? I'm searching.
This is it. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is there any other link, or this is it?
I can't find that other one besides that one. So
I found another where
I
it's the same. It's the same image and same.
yeah, it's just yeah, that's the official YouTube phone.
Then just relax. Powell is coming. You know, all the headliners they don't come straight into the stage. They let the crowd wait a little bit. It's in 23 minutes. What the fish are you talking about? It should be now. According to the economic calendar, it is at 4 p.m. Central European time. It's live now. He's having a party at the backstage. Yeah. Matsai TT. So a quick look on the open position. Still holding gold long, euro dollar long. Expecting some upward movement on on the dollar, weakening on the dollar, and strengthening on appreciation of the euro. Oh,
Committee will come to order.
There
Even
we go.
the photography crew can come to order as well.
I love his
Without
breakdown.
objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. This hearing is titled the Federal Reserve Semi-Annual Monetary Policy Report.
And by the way, the monetary policy report I just sent out for you today is this one right here. So these, they're going to ask questions from this report. So they're going to ask about the past, not the future. It's very important, which should be bullish for gold. And that's a speculation, not financial advice. Do your own analysis.
Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days within which to submit extraneous materials to the chair for inclusion in the record.
Why is the little girl sitting behind this man on a Senate hearing?
Will strictly observe. The chair would further announce to committee members.
That's weird.
That the chair's intention is in the second week we return in July, we'll have a markup. And
I think
that
maybe
markup
just to calm Powell when he sets foot on stage.
Assets, a market structure and federal regulatory remit. And the second is a federal stablecoin regime. It is the intention of the chair to have that as a
Okay, the second part I'm not interested in any fucking stablecoin and crypto.
I now recognize myself for 4 minutes to give an opening statement. Thank you, Chairman Powell.
That
for
little
joining
girl
us
just
today.
looks terrified. And I don't blame her. Like, look at this. Why they bring this girl to this sad room?
As you said last week, the process of getting inflation back to 2% is a long
She
way
has
to
no
go.
idea.
So even though the federal open market
Times are hard. He's babysitting.
week's
Part-time.
meeting, it's fair to say that the Fed will continue to make additional increases in the months ahead. We'd like to hear your thinking on those matters. As the FOMC again pointed out last week, the labor market still appears tight, with Fed policymakers projecting a rise in an unemployment rate to a still low 4.1% at the end of the year. Despite pressure from the left, the Federal Reserve must remain committed to eliminating this stealth tax on American workers and families, and I urge you to continue that resolve. A few weeks ago, Congress took the first step toward getting our fiscal house in order through the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Republicans will continue fighting for sensible spending reductions to combat inflation. This stands in stark contrast to Democrats' spending spree that poured nearly $2 trillion into a supply-constrained economy that was already flush with trillions of savings provided by earlier bipartisan COVID rescue efforts. And after keeping interest rates too low for too long, the Fed was slow to address the problem. In a stunning about-face, the Fed then raised interest rates by 5 percentage points in a little over a year, the fastest spike in modern history. This approach introduced accelerated interest rates.
So as I explained before we started the stream, or when we started the stream, that they're going to touch base on the past, and Mr. McHenry with the cute bow tie is reading up what happened, what was the lead up to the current day. And he's talking about the mistakes that the Fed did, because they did many mistakes on the monetary policy side. Hence, we have this huge inflation, which cannot be always blamed on the Fed. I mean, guys, don't be rude. It's not just the Fed's problem. There was supply and demand side shocks in the market, which have led into 50-year high inflation. So what I'm expecting and what I'm speculated on and why I'm entered into long position, and this is the explanation, is because I'm expected that they're going to talk too much about the past, which has happened already. And usually when they do talk about the past, gold moves the opposite direction. So it should be bullish for gold, in my opinion.
Institutions.
And we call it the speculation for a reason, guys. So I added some logic, I added some background. What I'm expecting, Jay Powell is going to, they're going to ask about this monetary policy report, which has happened already. They're not going to ask about the future plans. It's going to be tomorrow.
Financial markets will also bear this strain as they will be forced to absorb nearly $1 trillion in new treasuries. This has led many to believe the Fed may be called on to help, perhaps through its repo or other facilities. Clearly, our economy is in a precarious position. from inflation to a potential credit crunch to substantial balance sheet risks
Just everyone
for
to see
financial
these are the open positions I
there's a
have,
great
long
deal of
on gold
uncertainty on
and
the horizon.
euro dollar.
Uncertainty
For the same
from
reasons
Fed
I explained
supervision
already,
and
macro
regulation
and monetary
is
policy.
the last thing the well-capitalized banking system needs now. Following numerous supervisory failures and a new vice chair for supervision at the Federal Reserve injecting politics into policy, it's become clear that Congress may need to again examine separating supervision and regulation out of the Fed and gaining greater oversight and control by Congress in the elected branches. With that, Mr. Chair, thank you for being here today. And the chair now recognizes the ranking member of the full committee, the gentleman from California, for 4 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman McHenry. Chairman Powell, welcome back.
Oh.
First, I'd like to start by acknowledging
Miss
that the
Waters
Federal
again.
Miss
Reserve made
Waters
the right
again.
decision to pause interest rate hikes. As you know, since last November, I've cautioned against any approach to monetary policy
cautioned for
that
many
ignores
approach.
the Fed's maximum employment mandate and results in a recession with millions of people
Those who
losing their homes
traded
and jobs.
the last testimony
While we
hearing,
have had strong
this lady and another man brought in, the minorities to monetary policy. Yes, the problem is that inflation and all of these things does hurt families, does hurt households. We shouldn't pick race and gender into this issue.
progress that we have made in reducing inflation is borne out in the latest consumer price index data. In fact, it's been 10 months, since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, and inflation has successfully been cut in half. Every single Republican member of Congress voted against the bill and chose to cozy up to the wealthy tax cheats instead of working with Democrats to bring down costs for middle-class families. However, the only way we will fully combat inflation...
The good thing is that if she keeps talking about, if she brings in race and, what was the particular Latinos? And, it has nothing to do with monetary policy. Anyway, so the whole speech and the whole testimony last time was diverted into these race issues and gender and, all of the things that I don't care about where people from and, what color they have, because I'm a fucking economist. I worry about money. I want to make money. I don't care, who gives me the money or, who sits next to me. We all, spend the same money, which is green. That's the best color. So if they keep talking about these issues, it's going to be good for us. It's going to be fucking good for dollar. It's going to skyrocket.
However, just can't seem to get their house in order on the heels of almost blowing up our economy by forcing a national default. They are now picking a fight over a tiny fee of less than 1% of total housing costs. Ignoring the costs home buyers are paying with 7% interest rates, appraisal fees, and title insurance. Instead, they're fighting about gas stoves. In fact, just a week ago, Republican disarray got so bad that it halted business on the House floor for the first time in 20 years. Lastly, as we continue to monitor the banking system following the recent bank failures, the Fed must act to correct the supervisory and regulatory failures identified by our committee's oversight. Committee Democrats recently introduced 11 bills, including 3 of my own, to strengthen the safety and soundness of our banking system and hold executives accountable for their misdeeds. The Senate Banking Committee is holding a markup this morning on a bipartisan bill on bank executive accountability. So I urge Chair McHenry to join us in advancing sensible reforms to strengthen our nation's banking system. With that, I yield back.
Generally yields back. I now recognize the Mr. Barr, Chairman of the
Gold
Subcommittee
is
on
muted,
Financial
guys.
Institutions Monetary Policy,
Absolutely
for 1
muted.
minute.
We expect proposals from the Fed's Vice Chairman for Supervision that could increase capital for financial institutions as much as 20%. Our already well-capitalized banks withstood the COVID shock and severe Fed stress tests as the economy is facing headwinds from the Fed's own rapid rate hikes. Now is not the time to be engineering massive new regulatory changes or hindering regional banks, which have already been under stress. New onerous one-size-fits-all regulation by the Fed needs proper vetting and transparency. I would ask you today to commit to providing us with analysis done so far by the Fed on the Vice Chair's new proposals. I also respectfully ask that the Chairman revisit Section 1107A1 of the Dodd-Frank Act to observe that the Vice Chairman for Supervision is authorized only to develop recommendations for the board and oversee supervision and regulation. The law does not give the Vice Chair special abilities to unilaterally write his own preferred regulations. It does not say that the Vice Chair should.
And indeed, it looks like the widely anticipated recession from the endgame of COVID disruptions, if it occurs at all.
My video was a bit lagging, thanks to Jay, so I refreshed.
Well, there's certainly more work to be done.
And it should be live now.
Immediate term, we can reflect with satisfaction on the historically low unemployment.
I like satisfaction, Mr. Foster.
Inflation since the passage of the Inflation
When was the last time you were satisfied?
However, I recognize that the necessary monetary policies put forth to combat inflation have not been without stress, including on the fraction of our banks that chose to ignore the Fed's clear forward guidance that interest rate hikes were in the pipeline. We on this
US 30, I don't know, I don't trade stocks now. I'm focusing on gold, euro, dollar, and GJ.
Food on the table. I look forward to discussing how recent policies have performed and what else we should do going forward to ensure a strong economic rebound. Thank you, and I yield back.
Today, we welcome the testimony of the Honorable Jerome H. Powell, Chair of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Powell, thank you for your time and being here. We recognize you for 5 minutes to give an oral presentation of your written testimony. Without objection, your written testimony will be made part of the record. Chairman Powell, you're recognized.
We do recognize Mr. Powell.
Ranking Member Waters and other members of the committee.
Honorable.
I appreciate the opportunity to present the Federal Reserve's semi-annual monetary policy report.
Chairman Powell, if you'll pull the mic closer. Thanks.
We at the Fed remain squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American
people. He always starts every single press conference, every single hearing about the dual mandate, and this is why it's important. And I emphasize these things, guys.
Is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve, and without it, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong
Mr. Robin, which side gold will go now? Anyone? Well, I'm expecting a bullish move in gold because Jay Powell is reading out from the monetary policy report. They're going to ask about the monetary policy report, which Jay Powell prepared and submitted 5 days ago. You guys all had 5 days to read that freaking report, and I guarantee that 98% haven't done or haven't even known that the report exists. But anyway, there's no news in the report, so I'm expecting long gold. It's a bullish gold, bullish euro dollar, and that's it. But that's speculation, guys. So you are responsible for your own trading decisions. Now hit the fucking like button right now, or I'm going to end the stream.
Averaged a robust 314,000 jobs per month. The unemployment rate moved up but remained low in May at 3.7%. There are some signs that supply and demand in the labor market are coming into better balance. The labor force participation rate has moved up in recent months, particularly for individuals aged 25 to 54.
Again, this is just
nominal wage growth.
Picking the data out from the monetary policy report. No new information. As I said, he's going to start from the past, building up his way to the future tomorrow.
Actually exceeds the supply.
How should you trade this? Well, if there's no new information, there's no surprise, then everything is priced into the market, right? So it should be bullish for gold.
In April, total personal consumption expenditure of volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 4.7%. In May, the 12-month change in the CPI came in at 4.0%, and the change in the core CPI was 5.3%. Inflation has moderated somewhat since the middle of last year. Nonetheless, inflation pressures continue to run high, and the process of getting inflation back down to 2% has a long way to go. Despite elevated inflation, longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. With inflation running well above our longer run goal of 2% and with labor market conditions remaining tight, the FOMC has significantly tightened the stance of monetary policy. We've raised our policy interest rate by 5 percentage points since early last year and have continued to reduce our securities holdings at a brisk pace.
Still no new information, still he's reading out sentences from the monetary policy report, which was submitted 5 days ago.
It will take time, however, for the full
So I'm going to hold the long gold position, long on euro dollar.
On inflation. The economy is facing headwinds from tighter credit conditions for households and businesses, which are likely to weigh on economic activity.
He's talking about the possibility, the forecast. Now, what do you think a potential looming crisis is going to be for the dollar? They have to cut interest rates, so it's going to be good for gold, good for euro dollar.
Headwinds from credit tightening, the FOMC decided last week to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5 to 5.25%, and to continue the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings. Nearly all FOMC participants expect that it will be appropriate to raise interest rates somewhat further by the end of the year. But at last week's meeting, considering how far and how fast we've moved, we judged it prudent to hold the target range steady to allow the committee to assess additional information
no interest rate hike
and its implications for monetary policy. In determining the extent of additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, we will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity, inflation, and inflation, economic and financial developments. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the totality of incoming data and
this is an important
for
part.
The outlook for
Now, those of you who follow me or just follow the Fed, you fully understand that the Fed increased the rate hike trajectory last month in the summary of economic projections. So they increased the trajectory for rate hikes for this year with 50 basis points. But that is not a binding agreement that they have to raise interest rate. They just did say, yeah, we might raise, but, you know, and this is where, you know, this is the part where you have to focus. He said that we're going to make decision meeting to meeting based on data to data. So it could be a bluff, but it could be just, okay, we raise the trajectory, any shit happens, we have the room, the headroom to raise the interest rate.
Action in March to protect
And look at euro dollar. The market is not eating it. The market is says like, okay, yeah, the dog barks but never bites. That's exactly what's happening. Who's long on euro dollar?
Addressing
only on gold.
Yeah. I do, Thomas. Euro dollar.
Euro dollar long, okay. It's going very nicely. I think I'm going to move my stop loss a bit, you know, reducing the risk. Why is the fucking moving up?
Number one.
Well, we made profit today in the CPI UK.
As myself for 5 minutes. Chairman Powell, as I laid out in my opening statement, inflation continues to be broad-based and persistent, both of which are concerning. Last week, the Federal Open Markets Committee decided to pause rate increases. And at the same time, the committee alluded that it would raise rates more later in the year. And so how should the FOMC's posture at the June meeting be interpreted? Will the committee continue to raise rates later this year? What's the thinking of this? What are we to understand?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're right, of course. We did decide to maintain the federal funds rate at its current rate at this meeting. At the same time, participants submitted personal forecasts suggesting that almost all of them thought there would be additional hikes. And I just want to say those two things are entirely consistent. The point being that the level to which we raise rates is actually a separate question of the speed with which we move. Earlier in the process, speed was very important. It's not very important now. The sense of the summary of economic projections and
Bro
the
put Fed
really
meeting.
is just
Bro put
that,
Fed in his
given
Zoom
how
meeting.
far we've
Yes, I
come,
did.
It may make sense to move rates higher, but to do so at a more moderate pace. That's really it. You know, We were at 75
Jay
basis
Powell
points
is in
for
our
several
meeting.
meetings,
Actually,
and we were
they
at 50
streaming
basis
our
points,
Zoom
then
meeting
50
with Jay
basis
Powell.
points, 25
It's
basis
not the other way
points
around.
at 3 consecutive meetings, and now we're monitoring that pace, much as you might do if you were to be driving 75 miles an hour on the highway, then 50 miles an hour on a local highway, and then as you get closer to your destination, as you try to find that destination, you slow down even further.
Okay. So it is more data is necessary for the Fed to make these decisions.
Yes.
And that's one interpretation, but thank you for a broader view there. I also want a broader view on this question of the vice chair for supervision is performing his own personal holistic review of the Fed's regulatory framework for bank capital and liquidity. In an interview yesterday, he discussed some version of a new type of stress test.
All right,
even.
quick question, guys. Who is in profit?
I am. I'm in profit.
I didn't take any trade. Had a really nice morning.
The CPI trade, the UK, right?
Simply, I have huge profit, risking really small.
Yeah.
And I said it's a happy day. I don't want to waste in a speech that I really don't know.
Exactly. Uncertainty, right?
Yeah, and then I decided to stay here and watch you making money, yes, every day.
And learn.
But
good.
That was my decision, and I keep my hands quiet.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. So I appreciate that. You don't have to always trade. And Albert is the perfect example. We traded the UK CPI this morning. I started the stream 40 minutes earlier. Giving up my morning coffee and my morning routine, and we made 100 pips easily, just like that. And he's not wasting his money on something that he don't understand, but he's here to learn. And so hats off, Albert.
Of proposals that are kind of in the works.
Look
they
at
haven't
Eurodollar.
been finalized, let alone brought to the board yet, and so I can't really get into specific details today.
We like your thinking, Chairman Powell.
You can't go into specific details, of course. No information giving. That's exactly what I said. No new surprises, no information. He's going to say the same mantra that we're going to make decisions based on meeting to meeting based on market data. So no new information, bullish for gold, bullish for your dollar.
First, that I think regulation should be transparent and consistent and not too volatile, and particularly as it relates to capital requirements. I do note the central importance of capital. We want banks to be resilient to shocks. We want them to be able to lend in good and bad times. We want, in particular, the G-SIBs, the 8 largest banks, to have high levels of liquidity. Indeed, we spent years raising those levels over a long period of time, and I think there's broad agreement, as you point out, that capital is strong. And the question there will be what sorts of increases will be justified. That's what we'll be looking at. The other thing is to point out the trade-off between.
Quick question, guys. What is 580 minus 240? I'll give you the answer. 340 people didn't hit the like button yet, watching the stream and making money and knowledge out of the stream. So I'm going to grab a drink, hit the like button while I'm back.
We benefit from having banks of all different shapes and sizes in our system, and we want to be careful not to regulate the smaller banks to the point where really their business models are challenged for all but the largest banks.
Well, this committee would expect to see a quantitative analysis of whatever the capital charge is going to be. We would expect that from the Fed, as we do from other regulators. With that, we'll now recognize the ranking member of the full committee, Ms. Waters, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Chair Powell, at this committee's last hearing on digital assets, my Republican colleagues proposed a stablecoin bill that would create 58 different licenses with federal regulatory approval over only 2 of the licenses. The remaining 56 licenses can be issued by each state, territory, and DC with little or no federal oversight, regulation, and enforcement. This proposal takes state preemption into a whole new level. It effectively allows every state to preempt another state. DC-based coins, for example, would be sold to individuals nationwide, and New York or North Carolina regulators could do nothing to protect their own residents, while even the Fed would be severely hamstrung in providing any oversight. I've argued that we should allow states to be part of this process, but we must have a strong, enforceable federal floor with a role for the Federal Reserve to approve and provide oversight of payment stablecoins issued by non-banks in order to ensure that consumers are protected. Such a framework is similar to our dual banking system, and it would ensure that non-banks and banks are treated the same. We should also bear in mind that payment stablecoins are a new form of currency intended to allow individuals to pay for things with them. As such, do you agree that it is important for the Fed, as our central bank, to have a chance to approve or decline any state-licensed non-bank entity before it starts issuing payment stablecoins nationwide?
First of all, let me say we appreciate that we've been able to offer our views on these things to your staff and also the majority staff, and we appreciate the consideration that's given to our views. We do see payment stablecoins as a form of money, and in all advanced economies, the ultimate source of credibility in money is the central bank, and we believe that it would be appropriate to have quite a robust federal role in what happens in stablecoins going forward, and that leaving us with a weak role and allowing a lot of private money creation at the state level would be a mistake. But nonetheless, again, I do appreciate that we've been able to be heard and share our views with the committee.
Well, thank you so very much. I am appreciative for that clear answer. The next question that I have for you is a bit unusual, but one of the reasons we push diversity is because those things that have not been discussed, issues of people of color, et cetera, have not been dealt with. I'm going to throw you something which Congress recognized as a national holiday for the first time since 2021. The holiday celebrates the day enslaved African Americans in Texas heard that they were free, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. To this day, Black Americans grapple with enduring racial economic inequality that has its roots in slavery, as evidenced by the Black-white gap in net worth and home ownership rates. My bill, the Federal Reserve Racial and Economic Equity Act, would require the Federal Reserve to carry out its duties in a manner that supports the elimination of racial and ethnic disparities in employment, income, wealth, and access to affordable credit. Now, the Fed has a number of duties to pursue maximum employment in the monetary policy, to supervise banks for compliance with our fair lending laws, and to ensure the Community Reinvestment Act is administered in a way that puts an end to discriminatory redlining practices by banks. Do you agree with me? And Atlanta, Federal Reserve President Raphael Bostic, among others, that the Fed has a role to play in addressing racial economic inequality as it carries out its work until Congress passes this bill? What steps will the Fed can you take to address racial and economic inequality?
So we do consider
inequality
in the economy as part of our thinking about decisions, but ultimately, and those are certainly highly valuable social goals to pursue. I would say our ability to
Guys, you didn't even realize to start the sharing. One, two.
Oh, what happened? I wasn't here.
I asked a question, no one's answering.
You stopped the stream?
Stop the Zoom.
I mean, you
The Zoom.
Sorry, fucking a business call. Just
well capitalized. And in fact, capital levels have
flying,
remained
Thomas.
robust.
All flying.
Despite
All
COVID-19,
flying,
with a
crazy.
20% plus unemployment rate increase and a 9% output gap. They've remained stable through government shutdowns. They've remained stable through severe stress testing. And maybe more importantly, just in the last few months, since the first week of March, you've seen strong capital come into play as we've grappled with the reality of a 40-year increase in short-term interest rates and that impact on banks. But as the chairman said, Michael Barr continues to say he wants to increase capital requirements on certain financial
gold
institutions.
120 pips profit,
And in
ladies
March,
and
you
gentlemen.
testified, you said, I will do everything I can possibly do to bring people together, meaning on the Board of Governors, in consensus and have a capital framework that could be broadly supported. So to what extent have you and the other governors been involved in this so-called holistic review by Vice Chair Barr? Has he briefed the other members of the Board of Governors thus far?
Yes, and we've all been briefed by staff, really, on the proposals, but as I mentioned, they're still somewhat in motion. But yes, we've
So
been briefed.
2,300
So you would say those
pounds
proposals are still
profit
under
on gold.
consideration and that there's no final decision that's been taken by the board?
No, once the proposals really do settle down and are written up, they'll come to the board for a full discussion and a vote.
Has the Fed board reconstituted now the Committee on Supervision and Regulation, the membership of it?
Oh,
And who's on that committee now?
So that committee is chaired by Vice Chair Barr, and it also includes Governor Jefferson, and it includes Governor Bowman.
When you look at capital in the U.S. and I look at the globally significant banks here versus other places in the world, would you say that the U.S. banks, the U.S. G-SIBs, are better capitalized than their global peers in Europe or in Asia?
So we're certainly at or near the top of the league table. I think there are a couple other jurisdictions that also have broadly similar levels of capital strength.
Euro
but yes,
dollar
we're
was
at the top of the
definitely a
league
good trade.
I looked at it this morning, and U.S. G-SIBs have 11.3% capital without any kind of modification compared to their European competitors at only 9.9%. So would you say that we're better capitalized than the European banks, the European G-SIBs?
I hate to call out the other jurisdictions, but I would say our banks are very strongly capitalized and also competing quite successfully globally outside the United States.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we've strengthened capital, we've strengthened our supervision, notwithstanding the problems that we saw this spring, which we've talked about ad nauseum here. But that capital standard does make American banks, I think, stand out. And wouldn't Basel, the so-called Basel III holistic reforms, wouldn't it be better if the European banks did a holistic review and actually got their capital up to American standards?
So I think they are bound by the same.
All right, guys.
No one's bound by these, but.
What's your thought? So
They don't. Congratulations.
30 minutes into the hearing. I put together the speculation on gold and euro dollar based on, let me just show you quickly, based on the monetary policy report. So the monetary policy report, which is the hearing about, the Senate hearing or the Congress hearing. Now, the Congress is the boss of Jay Powell, of the Federal Reserve. They're independent, but they have a job to report to the Congress. The Congress is asking questions about the past, and the past is summarized in the monetary policy report, what happened, the pre-developments. And my speculation was today that there will be no new information coming out from the mouth of Jay Powell, and he actually said that he cannot say anything about the future monetary policy goal. At this time, the only thing he can say is that they're going to make decision meeting to meeting based on economic data, which means that they, yes, raised the rate hike trajectory last week at 50 basis points, but that was only to give them enough headroom. If anything happens, shit hits the fan, inflation comes back again, they have a room to further raise interest rate increase and spooking the shit out of the market. That speculation, ladies and gentlemen, paid out so well that, oh my God, the euro dollar, whoa. Look at Gold as well. Gold is 120 pips currently in profit. I took most of the profit when it hit the previous resistance level right here in this bracket for a good reason. We always take profit at the previous resistance, previous high, previous low, previous support, all kind of things. Next profit taking is going to be the top of the consolidation. If it goes any higher, happy days, but I took £2,400 off the table. Don't want to leave it on the market. And what I'm focusing now is the euro dollar, because that is one fucking good trade. So, who made some money today?
I'm not trading.
Oh,
Just looking.
come on. When we're on live, we always say, yes, we did make money. Anyway, jokes aside, guys. We're on live, remember that. There you go. There you go. There you go. Lamborghini is on the way. Lamborghini is on the way.
I've made money.
Yeah, just paid my deposit.
Good.
TP already done.
Okay. Those of you who missed the trade, I just suck it up and come back tomorrow, guys. Or maybe you can join the Alpha community by using the link in the chat or below the video in the description. I do the morning briefings every single day live, where I talk about what to expect on the markets, how to prepare for the coming economic data. I studied economics, I'm a trained economist, and I used to work on trading floor, cash equities, futures, and fixed income, and I was a risk manager for one of the biggest Eastern European bank on the capital markets. And that gives me the credibility to trade on financial markets and speculate on economics. And I guarantee that no one else, I just asked a survey in our 1,200 people community, how many people you know that actually live trade these heavy events? Because technical traders, yes, they do trend lines and, you know, all kind of wonderful tool with smart money. You know, these are good concepts, but the problem is that financial markets are driven by economics and finance and not trend lines, and this is something you have to understand. And the problem is that trend lines cannot speculate. But what I did today is I speculated, think about logically, is that, okay, is J. Powell going to, even if he comes out hawkish on the meeting today, it doesn't matter, because everything is already summarized in the monetary policy report, which the committee today, who's asking J. Powell, they're asking about that particular report, what happened in the past. And what happened in the past doesn't matter, because it's already happened. There's no new information, no surprise. Hence I entered into long position on gold, long position on euro dollar, and here are the results. Gold is whipping 120 pips, euro dollar 35 pips, beautiful, nice bullish move, and GJ is a bit lagging, but still making good profit. And I have to highlight that I already made profit with the team this morning on the British CPI data print. So overall, it's an excellent day. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you to you, Thomas.
Thomas, number one.
Number one.
Thank you, Thomas.
You're very welcome. Good day. Don't forget to take some profit off the table. Nitri Medits is asking, any view on stocks? Bro, if you want to see my trades, my view, if you want to see my speculation, my analysis, join the group, join the academy. There's a reason why I'm charging, because I am putting value on the table and not just drawing trend lines. And that's it. Where is the sexy music? Let me put it back on.
We are staying to hear all the meeting, or
no. I mean, I made already profit. For me, there's no reason to listen to all the hearing.
Reasonably frequently, we sat quite near each other.
Of J. Powell.
Never discussed the cultural shift.
I didn't say that, but I don't remember it. The way you're describing it is not what I recall. I recall Vice Chair Quarles.
So Stephen Chris is asking, why did you choose your USD and not GBP USD? Join the community, you will find out.
It's not what you recall.
Well,
so what
I had no part in. I said I had no part in preparing the report. I'm confident that the staff who worked on the report reported accurately what they heard. I'm sure that that's right.
So what steps did you take proactively to meet with regulatory and supervisory staff?
Well, I think we're taking significant steps now. We're, as you know, under Vice Chair Barr's leadership, we're looking carefully at these events and asking ourselves, what do we need to do with supervision? And I think there is a point to be made that there are situations in which we need to be more forceful and more proactive. Not in all situations, but in some. In regulation, I think we're learning that we need to update our thinking around liquidity regulation, which was based on a certain speed of bank runs, which now looks to be outdated.
My time has expired. Gentlelady's time's expired. We'll now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Garbarino, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, thank you for being here. I just want to start off by asking a few yes or no questions. Was the Silicon Valley Bank failure...
Garbarino. Anyway, guys, I think we can conclude that today was a successful day. The speculation worked out well. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow for the morning briefing.
Hamas #1.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you.
Number one.
Thanks, Thomas.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Did you just made
Thanks,
80,000
Thomas.
today, Marwan?
Yes, I did.
Holy crap, is it in US dollar? Fuck, you know. Are you for real? $80,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to be like you.
Mate, well done. See you tomorrow.
All right.
Guys, if you would like to join the Alpha community, I cannot express enough how much money you lose in the financial markets every single day on your own. Well, you could trade with me. Not saying I'm always 100% right, because that's bullshit. No one is 100% right. But we have a community where we discuss these kind of live events where J. Powell is currently talking, and I put my ideas through. It's logical reasoning, economics, finance, and trust me, financial markets driven by economics and finance, and not all the theories and concepts you learn on Instagram. My specialization is in high impact events, and guarantee that most of the Instagram and all the signal provider gurus, they know we're around during high impact events because they are afraid about what's going to happen. But long story short, guys, link in the chat, in the YouTube chat, look to your right, join the community, 50% discount off, and you can get to enjoy morning briefings every single day, live trade every single day with me. Thank you so much. This is the Alpha FX.